I describe the Field of Dreams on 1,000 acres outside of Columbus, Ohio, where America's future will be built. Intel, the CEO is here today. In fact,
Intel in Ohio is moving forward now that President Biden signed the CHIPS Act. The official groundbreaking in Licking County was postponed until that bill passed. Thanks so much for joining us for Face the State. I'm Brittany Bailey, in for Tracy Townsend. Well, right now, some work is already being done nearby to get the site ready for those two plants. We're told Intel has a meeting with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency in a few weeks. Company leaders will ask for a permit to build that facility, which may cause some air pollution. Intel CEO released a statement after the bill signing that reads in part, Intel is committed to restoring end-to-end leadership, innovation, and manufacturing here in the U.S. We are doing our part, and the federal government has now done their part. Now, to put this into perspective, 30 years ago, the U.S. made 40% of the world's microchips. Today, it's less than 10%. The $50 billion CHIPS Act will not get us to #1 overnight, but leaders in the Biden administration say what it will start doing is reducing our dependence on foreign countries for chips that we use in everything from our cars to our missiles. But the high amount of money is getting some pushback. 10 TV's Kevin Landers spoke with a White House senior advisor about that.
So people will ask, why are multi-billion-dollar companies getting this kind of a handout from the government? Why aren't they paying their own fair share of this?
Well, I wouldn't characterize it as a handout. I would characterize it as a partnership. In the bipartisan infrastructure law, we're investing in roads and bridges and airports and ports and waterways. And it is the government in partnership with the private sector targeting their investments that actually help make America's lives better, lower the cost, and protect our national security.
Now that Intel has its money, the bigger question is, where will it find all of the workers to staff those two plants? 10 TV's Kevin Landers explains.
Intel is betting on Ohio to provide enough workers to manufacture its microchips when the site becomes active sometime in 2025. And the pressure is on for Ohio's colleges and universities to deliver those workers.
It is pressure. But
John Berry is president of Central Ohio Technical College. He says he's trying to anticipate a flood of students into his engineering labs.
With the CHIPS Act passing and knowing that the investment that they're planning to make within Central Ohio would quadruple, that means you quadruple the pipeline expectations.
The enrollment numbers are already on the rise at COTC. The college says students seeking full associate degrees or short-term degrees has jumped 69% from August of last year. Its engineering technology program went from 8 students to 85 this year, a 963% increase.
When they talk about this first initial 3,000 individuals that they're hiring for their first opening with the two fabs themselves, 70% of those individuals will be at the associate's degree level.
COTC has a campus in Pataskala, just 10 minutes from the Intel campus, and there is talk of expanding its engineering labs to accommodate more students.
And Intel has been very good about saying, look, we need an educated workforce.
Which puts pressure on Ohio's colleges and universities to attract more people into the engineering field. With the CHIPS Act passing, Intel now has the money to expand beyond just 2 fabrication plants, and it will need more workers to fill them.
It is a bit of pressure. You are absolutely right about that, Kevin, but it is one that we're very excited to produce.
That was Kevin Landers reporting, and President Berry did tell Kevin that with the signing of the CHIPS Act, you will see colleges and universities across Ohio promoting Intel on their websites, encouraging more students to look at engineering as a career. Well, Intel also will have a big impact on businesses and restaurants in the area. We stopped by Eagles Pizza in New Albany. With more people moving into that area, workers tell us they think they'll need to hire more workers to keep up with demand.
We do a lot as is, and some days may be slow, but it might not be slow anymore.
Eagles Pizza also has opened a new location in Johnstown, which will be impacted by Intel moving in as well. That applause on the Senate floor came after Democrats passed the multi-billion-dollar Inflation Reduction Act. Ohio's U.S. senators voted along party lines. The bill could have major implications for health care, climate change, and inflation. And this is not the end. Let's take a closer look now at the Inflation Reduction Act. It does include a record $370 billion in climate and energy investments. It allows Medicare to negotiate the cost of prescription drugs, and it could lower the deficit by $300 billion. It's all paid for by a 15% minimum tax on corporations and increased IRS enforcement. Experts say we likely will not see how this bill affects the economy until next year. Inflation is still at a 40-year high, but experts believe the bill could slow demand by cutting deficit spending and soothing supply chain backlog. Climate provisions in the bill could help people to cut energy costs. Some may be eligible for tax breaks on clean home energy. Now, Democrats wanted to use the bill to cap insulin prices at $35 per month, but the GOP blocked that plan. This all comes as thousands of Americans are having to choose between buying food and buying medicine. We checked in with Life Care Alliance. The folks there say the average person spends $400 to $500 on insulin each month. That's about 5 times higher compared to prices back in 2017.
So we need some sort of system where insulin is available to people at a reasonable cost. And we hope the lawmakers can come up with that.
Life Care Alliance is working to offer other resources to offset the cost of insulin for some Ohioans. If you are worried you might be diabetic, you can reach out to the organization to be matched with a medical expert for free. Well, there are claims that the Inflation Reduction Act includes a massive cut to Medicare. Casey Decker with our Verify National team explains that is not what the bill does.
For 2 years, Democrats have been working to pass legislation to achieve their goals on economic, health, and climate policy. The Senate has just finally done so, passing the Inflation Reduction Act. Ads attacking the bill have already hit airwaves, like this one sent to us by a Verify viewer in Georgia.
Washington liberals like Raphael Warnock say their partisan spending bill lowers seniors' drug costs, when actually, it cuts nearly $300 billion from Medicare.
So is that true? Does the Inflation Reduction Act cut billions of dollars from Medicare? To verify, we looked at the text of the bill, the analysis of the bill by the Congressional Budget Office, and we went to sources specializing in health and budget policy. All our sources confirmed this bill as written does not cut any funding to Medicare. What it aims to do is actually save Medicare money by reducing how much it pays out to drug companies. It does this in 3 ways. The first is to give the federal government the authority to negotiate with drug companies over how much it'll pay for certain Medicare-covered drugs. The second way is to institute a cap on how much drug companies are allowed to raise the prices they charge Medicare each year. And the third way, undoing a Trump-era rule that banned drug makers from giving discounts to insurers in order to keep their products on the insurer's list of approved drugs. The Trump administration saw those discounts as kickbacks, but proponents of the new bill say they're an important way of cutting drug prices. According to the Congressional Budget Office, all that adds up to nearly $300 billion in savings for Medicare over the next 9 years. But it's cost savings, not budget cuts. In fact, the text of the Senate bill includes billions in new spending for Medicare. AARP calls the claims the legislation would cut Medicare a lie, saying, quote, this bill saves Medicare nearly $300 billion by lowering the price of drugs. Only drug companies would say that saving people money is a bad thing. The nonpartisan Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget made similar statements, calling the advertisements misleading attacks. All that means we can verify, no, the Inflation Reduction Act does not cut billions of dollars from Medicare. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
Ohio gubernatorial candidate Nan Whaley made a stop in Columbus this past week to hold a roundtable with Black small business owners. Whaley stopped at a Cut Above the Rest barber shop and discussed with these business owners how the state can better help them grow their businesses and create jobs. Whaley says these kinds of businesses are the lifeblood of a city.
The small businesses that invest in a neighborhood make a big difference to the quality of life, create vibrancy in the community, and can make the biggest difference on really growing a neighborhood. And Cut Above is exactly that example.
Another deadline is approaching for a redraw of congressional district maps. The Ohio General Assembly was given 30 days to draw the new maps back on July 19th. Now, so far, there is no word on the progress or when the group plans to meet. But we do know the state's highest court struck down the map for congressional voting districts last month because they were, quote, unduly partisan. It has been a long time coming for veterans. The PACT Act is now law. Hear from the Ohio wife who was by the president's side when he signed the bill. And see the new technology used to solve one local cold case and potentially 2 more. A new report shows overdose deaths are down in Franklin County, but health experts say that is not enough.
This law is long overdue, but we finally got it done together.
It's a major move to protect U.S. veterans. This past week, President Biden signed the PACT Act. It expands health care benefits for millions of veterans who returned home from war and got sick. During the president's signing, an Ohio woman was right by his side. The legislation is named after her husband, who died of cancer after being exposed to toxic burn pits. 10 TV's Olivia Eugenio spoke with her one-on-one about what this means to her.
At the hand of the president is young Brielle Robinson, a gift. But a gift that comes at an emotional cost.
It's been a very emotional ride today, knowing, that Heath wasn't here with us, but we're honoring him today.
Danielle Robinson and her daughter Brielle joined the president for the signing of the PACT Act, legislation that will expand federal health care services for millions of veterans exposed to toxic burn pits. Veterans like Danielle's husband.
He entered in shortly after 9/11.
Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson served in the Ohio National Guard, serving tours in Kosovo and Iraq.
I asked Heath, I said, were you around burn pits in Iraq? And he said, yeah, I was actually had guard duty outside of one about 20 yards from the burn pit for 3 months in my deployment. And that was the first I'd ever heard that he was around a burn pit.
The 39-year-old Pickerington man died in 2020 after battling cancer for 3 years.
Danielle is here with us tonight.
Danielle has been pushing for the PACT Act alongside President Biden since she was a guest at the State of the Union.
We're honored to be a huge part of this, but I can't help but think about all the families that are so deserving of being in this position that we're technically in.
But for her and her daughter, Danielle says she knows their veteran was with them all day long.
I get emotional thinking of it. She just had a very, very wonderful day, being able to at least celebrate him and everything that this bill means to so many veterans across our nation.
That was Olivia Eugenio reporting. A Columbus nurse who has been behind this fight for years also was in Washington, D.C. for that bill signing.
It feels really good to have it signed into law. Being someone who's still sick, it's concerning for me to make sure that my family has what they need when I can't provide it anymore.
Paul McMillan works for a Columbus area hospital. He served in Iraq from 2001 to 2008 and was exposed to toxic burn pits. After his time in the Army and National Guard, he was diagnosed with pneumonia. He was in the ICU and needed surgery. He's now facing long-term health issues with the expensive treatment, but this act now covers that cost for him.
I would like to be able to not have to balance, do I want to have a home or do I want to pay for treatments for something? But it's not just about me. This is happening everywhere.
With that act signed, he can now get that crucial treatment covered. New technology helped to solve a cold case in Franklin County, and investigators believe the suspect could be tied to other cases. 10 TV's Lacey Crisp walks us through the decades of history that led up to this point.
Technology that didn't even exist when these crimes occurred have helped solve 2 cases. BCI says familial DNA has linked 2 homicide cases.
I just want us to know that she's smiling down and happy that this day has come. It's been a long time coming.
Regina Dawson's mom, Michelle, was found dead on the side of the road in Licking County near Granville in 1996. Though Robert Edwards has not been charged with this case yet, investigators say it's similar to Alma Lake's rape and murder.
Clearly, from what you guys have read, had a reckless, violent past in that era of his life. And so, I mean, it's not unreasonable to believe that he may be responsible for other cases.
Lake's body was found in June 1991 on the side of Craig and Olive Streets in Urban Crest. The Franklin County Sheriff's Office says familiar DNA linked Edwards to both murder victims.
Are you currently looking at potential other cases involved with this gentleman?
Without going into details, we're going to leave no stone unturned with the suspect that was arrested for this case.
BCI's cold case unit was created 2 years ago, but in that short time frame, investigators have brought 25 cold cases to prosecution, and they say more arrests like Edwards could happen soon.
He lived 30 years of his life, over 31 years of his life. And wouldn't you think that you got away with it too after 30 years?
Sergeant Mickey Casper's dad was the lieutenant on the original homicide scene and says he's proud to help solve the case, but he attributes the arrest to
DNA.
to technology and hard work.
BCI staff got us here. And then the only thing we had to do was go do a trash pull, do some stuff like that, then interview the suspect.
Though it may have taken more time than she'd hoped, Regina says she's relieved to get some answers.
Oh, I heard Sam Cooke singing in my head. It's a long time coming.
The sheriff's office is asking any other county in this state, if you have a similar crime, reach out to them. There could be other cases. In Franklin County, Lacey Crisp, 10 TV News.
Now, Edwards is set to be arraigned in court soon. 10 TV will let you know when that happens. New data from the Franklin County Coroner's Office shows the number of overdose deaths in Franklin County is down slightly compared to last year. But when you compare that number to 2019, it's still up significantly. This graph shows the number of overdose deaths in Franklin County since 2017. In 2018, there were 509 deaths. In 2019, there were 556. But look at that jump in 2020. 859 overdose deaths were reported. And in 2021, it's still high at 825 overdoses. 89% of those deaths in 2021 were caused by fentanyl. That's up from 2017 when it was at 76%. Well, finally, this map shows the zip codes in Franklin County with the highest number of overdose deaths. Most were on the west side, south side, and north side of Columbus. 10 Investigates actually did more digging into this issue. We requested the number of Narcan runs in Columbus or calls where a life-saving drug was used to save someone from an overdose. Between January 2021 and June of this year, we found there were more than 4,000 incidents where Narcan was administered. In 2021, that adds up to an average of 8.6 incidents per day. So let's talk about resources now. 10 TV reached out to Adam H. about that report. And while we did see a decrease from last year, that number we're seeing is still discouraging.
Overall, as we have been responding to the opiate epidemic and this crisis that is before us, the numbers are staggering. One life lost is too many.
Adam H. leaders say funding to prevent and educate the public on these dangers is crucial. There are classes you can take to learn how to save a life. Adam H. also has more than 30 providers every day responding to treatment services, prevention, detox, and recovery. Right now, there are currently 59 Nalox boxes in Franklin County. They are free to the public to use in the case of an emergency. The Ohio Department of Health is counting fewer COVID-19 cases. So what does this mean heading into back to school season? Plus, we have an update on the monkeypox vaccine supply issues. Find out just how many doses are coming here to Ohio.
I will always love you.
And the Queen of Country made a stop in our state. She was here to promote a program that will help some of the youngest Ohioans. Right now, two viruses are spreading in Ohio. We're talking about monkeypox and COVID-19. Now, when it comes to COVID-19, the Ohio Department of Health reported more than 26,000 new cases this past week. That is 1,700 cases fewer than the week before. 10 TV's Kiana Deiches talked with doctors about where things stand right now.
Across Ohio, COVID hospitalizations and ICU admissions remain relatively low.
It appears that the modest surge in cases recently caused by the Omicron subvariants BA4 and BA5 may have hit its peak, or at least leveled off.
If you're younger than 60 in good health and vaccinated, doctors say your likelihood of developing severe illness is low. But staying up to date on vaccinations as we head into fall are important.
We have many people in Ohio who have underlying medical conditions, who may be of advanced age, who in fact are vaccinated, and yet still this virus poses some risk. And for those individuals, we really do strongly recommend watching the CDC community levels map and wearing a substantial, preferably N95 or KN95 type mask.
As the school year looms, a big shift from the health department. Schools will no longer be required to report positive COVID-19 cases unless the school tests the students themselves. But sick weeks will be sticking around.
That students stay home from school for 5 days when they're ill and test positive for COVID-19.
That was Kiana Deiches reporting. Well, here's a question for you. How do you know if you're up to date on your COVID vaccinations? Well, the CDC has a tool online that is helpful. We put a link on our website at 10tv.com/featured links. Monkeypox is spreading through Ohio. This week, the number of cases jumped dramatically. Right now, the vaccine is being mainly offered to men in the LGBTQ+ community. We talked with one man who recently got the shot in Columbus. He says it's important to recognize that monkeypox could reach any community.
Public health officials are trying to get the message out to those most at risk, and unfortunately comes with some of the stereotypes that folks believe of our community, which just aren't true.
In the coming weeks, Ohio is expected to receive 13,000 monkeypox vaccine doses. You can check Columbus Public Health social media pages for updates on the next clinic. Just as a reminder, here are the symptoms of monkeypox: fever, headache, and muscle aches. But the biggest indicator is a rash that can look like blisters. Also, the virus can spread with direct contact with an infection. Health experts also are encouraging those who test positive to avoid pets. Ohio now has an official day to celebrate Dolly Parton. The famous singer made a stop in Central Ohio last week. Well, she was here to celebrate the Imagination Library. It's an early childhood reading program that Dolly started in honor of her late father.
Even if you can't afford to go to college or to go to school like my dad, if you can read, you can self-educate yourself. And so that's kind of what we're hoping, to just teach kids to read and to learn to love books. Thank you for supporting.
10 TV's Angela Ann emceed that event, and through the Imagination Library, Governor Mike DeWine tells us 325,000 children in Ohio will get one free book a month in the mail. Now, if you have not signed up yet, we did post a link for you on 10tv.com. Just look for this story. Well, thank you all so much for being here with us today. Remember, if it affects you, your family, and Ohio, we're here to make sure those accountable face the state.